are you today? Sally and I are glad you're here. Sally, can you tell our friends hi? Yes, she's glad. Do you know what time it is, friends? You're right. It's time for a treat. Would you like your treat, Sally? Let me get it. All right, Sally, here you go. You enjoy your treat while I read the book to our friends. All right, friends, we have a fun book today. This was a favorite book of my son Joshua's when he was little. It's called A Cow on the Line. It is another Thomas the Tank Engine story. Do you know who Thomas the Tank Engine is? He's a happy little train that's blue. Let's find out about this cow on the line, okay? Here we go. Double Trouble. It was a beautiful morning on the island of Sodor. Thomas the Tank Engine's blue paint sparkled in the sunshine as he puffed happily along his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle. Here's Thomas up here. Can you see him? He was feeling pleased with himself. "Hello, Thomas," whistled Percy. "You look splendid." "Yes, indeed," boasted Thomas. "Blue is the color of the proper engine." "Oh, I don't know. I like brown paint," said Toby. "I've always been green. I wouldn't want to be any other color," added Percy. Well, anyway," huffed Thomas, "blue is the only color for a really useful engine. Everyone knows that." Percy said no more. He just grinned at Toby. Later, Thomas was resting when Percy arrived. A large hopper was loading freight cars full of coal. Thomas was being cheeky. "Careful," he warned. "Watch out for those silly cars." Go on," muttered the cars. "And by the way," went Thomas, "those buffers don't look very safe to me." The last load poured down. Percy was worried, but he couldn't help laughing. Thomas, the smart blue paint was colored in coal dust from smoke box to bunker. "Ha ha," chuckled Percy. "You don't look really useful now. Thomas, you look disgraceful." "I'm not disgraceful," choked Thomas. You do that on purpose. Get me out." Oh no, poor Thomas. What does his face look like? How do you think he's feeling? Maybe sad or angry? It took so long to clean Thomas that he wasn't in time for the next train. Toby had to take Annie and Clarabelle. "Poor Thomas," whispered Annie and Clarabelle. They were most upset. Thomas was grumpy in the shed that night. Toby thought it was a great joke, but Percy was cross with Thomas for thinking that he had made his paint dirty on purpose. Fancy a really useful blue engine like Thomas becoming a disgrace to Sir Topham Hatt's railway. The next day, Thomas was feeling more cheerful as he watched Percy bring his cars from the junction. The cars were heavy and Percy was tired. "Have a drink," said the driver, "when you're feeling better." Then the warm water column stood at the end of the siding with the unsafe buffers. Suddenly, Percy found that he couldn't stop. The buffers didn't stop him either. "Oh, well, Percy, help!" The buffers were broken and Percy was wheel deep in coal. Now, how do you think Percy's feeling? Maybe a little sad or worried? I think the book said Thomas was grumpy. Maybe he's feeling grumpy. It was time for Thomas to leave. He had seen everything. Now Percy has learned his lesson too, he chuckled to himself. That night, the two engines made up their quarrel. "I didn't cause your accident on purpose, Thomas," whispered Percy. You You do know that, don't you? Of course, replied Thomas, and I'm sorry I teased you. Your green paint looks splendid again, too. In the future, we'll both be more careful of coal. This one, it's starting a new story. It's called A Cow on the Line. Edward was getting old. His bearings were warm, and he clanked and huffed and puffed along. He was taking the empty cattle cars to the market, to town. The sun shone, and the birds sang, but Edward was heading for trouble. Come on, he puffed. Oh, 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 screamed the cars. Edward puffed and clanked, and the cars rattled and screamed. Some cows were grazing nearby. They were not used to trains. The noise, the smoke, it disturbed them. As Edward clanked by, they broke through the fence and ran across the line. A coupling was broken and some of the cars were left behind. Edward felt a jerk, but didn't take much notice. He was used to cattle cars. Brother, those cars, he thought. Why can't they come quietly? He was at the next station before he or his driver realized what had happened. When Gordon and Henry heard about the accident, they laughed and boasted. Fancy allowing cows to break his train. They won't dare do that to us. We'd show them. Old Toby was cross. He couldn't help it. Edward, they never met cows. I have. I know the trouble they are. Some days later, Gordon rushed through Edward's station. Poop, poop. Mind the cows. Hurry, 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 puffed Gordon. Don't make such a fuss. Don't make such a fuss, grumbled the coaches. A long screech of the line lay ahead. In the distance was a bridge. It seemed to Gordon that there was something on the bridge. His driver thought so too. Whoa, Gordon, he said as he shut off the steam. Poof, said Gordon. It's only a cow. Shoo, shoo. He moved slowly onto the bridge, but the cow wouldn't shoo. She had lost her calf and felt lonely. Moo, she said sadly. Everyone tried to send her away, but she wouldn't go. Henry arrived. What's this? A cow? I'll soon settle her. Be off, be off. Moo, said the cow. Henry backed away nervously. I don't want to hurt her. At the next station, Henry's conductor told them about the cow and warned the signalman that the line was blocked. That must be Bluebell, said the potter. Her calf is here looking for her mother. Percy will take her along. At the bridge, Bluebell was very pleased to see her calf again, and Potter led them away. Not a word. Keep it dark, whispered Gordon and Henry to each other. They felt rather silly, but the story soon spread. Well, well, chuckled Edward. Two big engines, afraid of a cow. Afraid? Rubbish, said Gordon. We don't want the poor thing to hurt herself by running up against us. We stopped soon not to excite her. You see what I mean, my dear Edward. Yes, said Gordon. Gordon felt somehow that Edward saw only too well. And that's the end, friends. A cow on the line. Boy, those silly trains. Sometimes they were grumpy, sometimes they were sad. You never know how they're going to feel, do we? All right, friends, I want to say goodbye to you. Bye, Nathan and Avery, Carlota and Max, Boyce, Ellis and Henry, London and Freya. Peyton and Olivia, Sloan and Sutton, Sebastian, Lucy, Oli, Ruby, Sammy and Millie, Terry and Judy, Avery and Gray, Maya, Marquise, Joshua, Julia, Jeffrey, Karen and Eloise, Bella and Becky, Emma and Charlotte and Elliot. Good night, Charlotte and Elliot. Cooper and Eleanor, Maya, Nolan and Sam and Ellie, Eli from Bend, Craig, Teresa and Ashlyn, Remy and Amber, Teacher Mac, Olivia, Andy and Ada, Lily and Lincoln, Alexa and Flynn, Fife and Ford, Johan and Soren, Harper, May, Brooklyn, Ray, and Henry, Addison and Emma, Stella, go Ducks, Eli and Lizzie, Will and Brooke, Thea and Vesper, Landon and Adeline, Everly and Kinsley, Blossom and Larky, Brant and Reese, Michael and Milo, Rayu, Sophia and Maverick, Avery, Dakota, Pam, Jason and Lola, Andy and Kristen and Mindy. And friends, if you didn't hear your name, just let your grown-up, have them let your grown-up let me know that you're listening so I can say hi to you too, okay? All right, Sally, come say goodbye to our friends. Come on, can you come say goodbye? All right, friends, this is Sally and I saying goodbye for today. Say goodbye.